Let me pull up my questions.
Cool. I think we're live. Um,
Pull it up too.
yeah, if you want to test that, we go live at the most random times without any
No
without telling
warning.
anybody. Yeah,
You gotta just be ready for it. You know,
yeah.
you just like,
You got
when
your.
are these guys go live? Are they doing this?
It's like you need to click on that notification bell. um, are you checking audio?
Okay, I that sounds good. I was just checking sound.
Cool.
So I know that's something we always sometimes have issues with. So
Yeah, man. Happy April.
happy April.
I
It's been
know.
some time. How's things going?
Good. New job transition, so there's that. I know on your end you got some job stuff too, but I feel like everyone deals with job stuff in one way or another if you're still in the corporate setting. But yeah, I think uh, the thing that's looming over my head for Karate Breakdown is the website. Which
I
I
didn't
haven't.
say I didn't say shit,
I
man,
saw
this
you
time.
chuckling. I know, but it's it's a work in progress. But yeah, I think routine wise, life wise, I think things are settling down, or at least I'm getting rid of a lot of stuff that was kind of extra fluff. So I'm now really focusing on kind of the major key things in my life, which is kind of cool.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, I think work for everyone probably has been pretty tough. I think just given the climate of economy and all this stuff. We're not here to discuss the geopolitical consequences of other things, though. We're here to talk about martial arts and karate, right? So I think that's all. We'll leave that at that. But I think it's good that we're both have jobs and we're both able to keep chugging along. So that's like
Yeah,
pretty good. I'd
definitely,
say
definitely
pretty cool.
fortunate in that sense.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, in terms of like just training, I had to take a bit of a break. I know for medical reasons. So I'm feeling a little bit better now, which is great. But that definitely stalled a lot of like I was basically only able to walk for like 2 weeks, maybe 2.5 weeks. So kind of, I'm getting back into it. We worked out the other day, trying to go back to maybe some jujitsu or karate classes again. So that'll be good. My buddy who I was training with, I know over the last month and a half, I got to train basically once a week with my buddy and just kind of do whatever we wanted, which was really cool. We got to do a lot of tegumi. We got to do a lot of the drills that we've seen, from you. You gave us some pretty good tips. That's come to an end because he got a job, which is like it's a good thing for him. But selfishly for me, I definitely am like, damn, kind of just want that training again. Um, but in terms of yourself, what have you been up to training wise? Like, it's just kind of been the same consistency. Um, Anything new you've added to your routine? Anything different?
No, yeah, definitely still training. I got like a freestanding punching bag, so that's kind of a fun way for me to warm up. Really on this landmine kick that everyone on Facebook is seeing, but yeah, I think it's always cyclical, right? It's what can you do to keep the routine going or keep the consistency going. And I think that's kind of the secret, especially if you think about martial arts too. It's like the umbrella term of karate, and then you're like, well, underneath that, I have punches and kicks and stance work and strength and conditioning, cardio, and blah blah blah. But if you kind of like beat yourself up and be like, hey, I've only been doing punches for the last or let's say you take a break from karate for a month, but like you said, you were walking and stuff like that. I would still say that's part of the umbrella of training and stuff like that. So mixing it up that way you're not like just getting bored of just walking through katas and whatever. And like you said, with moments with your buddy, that this past month being able to train with him and doing taking me and all that stuff, that all is solid, right? It just keeps it going. So whatever you can do to keep it going is important. um
What got you on the kick with the? I forgot the name of the thing
that
already, but
landmine thing,
yeah.
yeah. um I don't know. I've gone through phases of those. This isn't the first time I've ever messed with it. um it's one of those things where most likely it was like an Instagram video or something like, hey, I used to do that. Let me see if I can make something similar and try it out. And now it's like successful. That's usually my logic. I see something that I remember I used to do. Um, I kind of weigh if I have the materials to make it or try to makeshift it. And then if it's successful, then I'll keep at it for like a month and then probably move on to the next thing. But but yeah, it's been keeping things fresh in my head in terms of training, which is good.
Yeah, I mean, I think that makes sense. What other? So obviously, we've talked about like Kobudo, we talked about Hojo Undo stuff. I think like last podcast. What other types of equipment do you tend to gravitate towards? I know there's a lot of weights, but obviously you're on landmine kick now. I think a couple years ago you were on the Gata kick. So there's definitely like I've noticed throughout the years you've gotten different types of equipment and you cycle through them. So what do you see as like essential? You like if you were, let's say, trapped on an island for like a year and you only could bring like a couple pieces of equipment, what do you think would be, your top three picks or something?
Yeah, that's actually an interesting question because it there's a lot to talk about that. I mean, there's like foundational strength,
Mhm.
right? Just being able to hold your structure and pick up heavy things. There's transverse plane strength, which is like essentially torquing and moving at angles. Um, there's like all the resistance band stuff, and those are all like working different things. And that's one of the reasons why like I just got a pair of kettlebells for the first time in a long
Mhm.
time or ever. um but I've always leaned on like the Olympic lifts as like the foundational stuff, especially for structure and overall strength, right? And then that bridges into like another thing where it's like, are you working out for overall health, absolute strength, a little bit of strength and conditioning? Are you working out to be like more nimble, more speedy, right?
Mhm.
More flexible and at different angles. But um, if we had like 24 hours to train, like you would try to hit all of those.
Right.
But it's definitely finding the balance because as you get a little more rigid in your movement in your like lifting, then you need to spend more time in stretching, right? Because one doesn't really help the other. I mean, there's arguments for that or against that, but depending on how you lift, if you're going in like 90-degree squat and back up and you're just going in that range of motion and you're trying
Right.
to get the like beat your PR and get as heavy as possible in that 90-degree squat, then most likely you're not really getting flexible in uh, like a flint split, right? um but yeah, to answer your question, I would say always have the foundational strength first. Olympic lifts type of things, deadlifts, squats. I like push presses and front squats, as that. And then you would add in kind of like the lunging type of things,
Mhm.
the transverse planes type of side lunges, stuff like that. And all those help with core strength too. So it's not just ab work, but all of that. And then once that's like down and pat, that's where you add in the resistance band stuff and all these accessory stuff, right? Like the goddess stuff is cool, it's fun, but you're not gonna like get super strong with it. Um, and again, everything I'm saying has a caveat because it's like I'm being very vague with my terminology because that's something I deal with too, right? Because it's like a lot of things that you see on YouTube or Instagram are like accessory things that will get you that 0.5% increase in your
Right.
max lift.
Right.
But 99% of the population would do perfectly fine doing like squats, push-ups, sit-ups to get to like a very competent physique. And then you're gonna add on that little stuff to get to the edge, right?
Yeah.
But if you're like first starting out and you see something that looks cool and you're like, yeah, I'm gonna do this as my workout, you're like trying to add that 0.5% edge when you don't even have a base level of like 80%, right? So
Right. Like, why are you trying to do squats with a bar if you can't do body weight squats, right? Like,
yeah, and then that's where like injuries happen and all that stuff, and you might not see the results that you want, and etc.
it becomes a negative feedback loop where you're like, hey, I bought this thing. I can't do this thing. It hurts. I hurt